So the problem with this mower, otherwise beautiful, well kept, garage kept, awesome looking mower, is that it surges when it's running. And so when I bought it from the gentleman, he said that he was confident he could fix it when he bought it from somebody who also explained the problem. And then he found that even though he replaced the carburetor, tried everything else, he could not fix it. So he put it for sale again, and then I bought it. So I put the original carburetor that he still had back on it because he said that the new carburetor didn't fix it. And so I put the original John Deere carburetor back on the unit and got it back to original condition. And so, sure enough, surging at every speed. So I took both of these carburetors apart and started comparing the jet sizes, and I found that the Chinese carburetor jet was smaller. So probably the one he ordered may have been the wrong one, or for whatever reason they just jetted it lean. But it was 3 or 4 sizes too small. So I think I ended up drilling it with a, you know what, I'm not going to give you the wrong numbers, but I ended up drilling it out 4 sizes larger based on the size of the jet in the original John Deere carburetor. And it showed a great improvement. I mean, it ran almost perfect, except it surged at idle. And it didn't seem to have much of an idle jet anywhere that I could find until I opened up this little, let me get you out in the light here. It's 100 degrees right now, but I'll bring this out into the light so you can see what I'm talking about. So that little cap in there, and you can see I actually opened it up. When I put the cap back on, I epoxied it shut. But I opened up both of them, the Chinese carburetor and this actual John Deere original. I think this is a Nikki carburetor. Anyways, it even has the Briggs & Stratton logo on it. What I found was that this one has a larger hole here at the top, which is actually an air bleed, so that would be the opposite. But it got me thinking, what's the jet size? So I couldn't find the jet. Eventually, with a little magnifying glass and a really bright light, and with this bowl off, you can see 3 or 4 drillings up in there, and you can actually follow these castings back and predict where the jet is, but you can't see it. Under a bright light with a magnifying glass, you actually can see that jet. And what I found was this original John Deere idle jet was clogged. So here's my theory, is that if you look in here, the way the idle jet opens up, at most any throttle position, you're still getting idle fuel. So if that's not working, you're going to have a lean mixture at every throttle position, and that's exactly the symptoms this thing was having. Now, like I said, I got this thing running really good by drilling out the Chinese main jet, richened it up, kind of proving my theory that it was lean. Then I tried to drill out the idle jet a little bit, but I think that one's just a cast aluminum. I don't even think there's an idle jet in that one, just a bore hole in there. And I got it to where it runs almost perfect, and I'm going to start it up and just kind of give you a demonstration of, hopefully you'll hear that surging a little bit. Runs really good. I have mowed with it now, but like I said, I just wasn't satisfied, and I want to get that Chinese carburetor off of there. When I took this apart, I found that this idle pathway was clogged, so I'm really gambling that this I was able to open up that jet again. So the idle jet works now, and so I bet this carburetor is fixed and working good as new, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with this carburetor. There's really nothing wrong with that carburetor except a little bit of surging into idle. And that's, my guess is, because that carburetor is probably for a smaller engine. that it's just got a lean idle jet pathway. And now that I have this one fixed, I'm going to put it back on. This fuel cutoff valve works on this. It doesn't actually work on the Chinese one. When you turn off the engine, it still is able to put fuel into the jet, which minor detail, but I still just want it as perfect as possible. So I'm going to open this up, and we're going to replace this carburetor back to the original. Now there's a lot of gaskets and parts and seals and stuff, so I have a box of genuine John Deere parts I had to wait for. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the camera while I open this up. I'm going to get my seals out, and we're going to proceed to take this front end apart of this engine, remove the intake manifold, switch the carburetor out, and I think when we fire it up, it's going to run really smooth.